잊을 수 없는 발에 빠져드는 이 밤에 잊지 말아줘 나를. I want just to...
Yudina Svetlana Dmitrievna, aka Lana, recognized as being the first Russian solo K-pop artist. Her hit Take the Wheel already has 850,000 views. Now, Lana has been a fan of Asian culture since she was a little girl. She's very talented and is even fluent in 3 different languages. She knows Russian, English, Korean, and even studies at a university in Seoul. However, even though her many years of association with Korea and Asia, Lana, because she's European, was quickly criticized, with many people saying, "Oh, this is just another example of white appropriation of Asian culture." However, many people actually did come to her defense, saying that because she's Russian, she's actually Asian. So that got me thinking, are Russians actually Asian? Alright, so we're gonna break this down geographically, ethnically, culturally, and linguistically. Yes, Russia is located on the Asian continent, but it's a little trickier than that. Russia is in a unique spot as it's one of the only countries whose contiguous border overlaps into 2 different continents. So how exactly is the border between Europe and Asia formed? What exactly makes this part Asia and this part Europe? The border, as we know it today, was formed by Swedish explorer Philip von Stralenberg. The biggest natural border, of course, is the Ural Mountains, following the Ural River to the Caspian Sea. This border, however, runs directly through Russia. How the borders between Europe and Asia was formed might be a completely different story. But as it stands right now, most of the physical landmass of Russia is in Asia. Approximately 77%. Well, that makes it pretty clear, right? Russia is obviously in Asia. Well, it's not that simple. The Asian parts of Russia mostly happen to be unoccupied, as it's just frozen bearlands and mountains. The harsh climate and the bad terrain make it unlivable for humans. It's basically the Antarctica of Asia. Additionally, most of the big cities and important places in Russia are in the European part of Russia. St. Petersburg and Moscow, Russia's 2 biggest cities, are both on the European side. In fact, 75% of the Russian population lives on the European side. And as a result, there's just no definite answer. Geographically, they're both European and Asian. A study was done that combined thousands and thousands of faces. They created a composite image to try and portray what the average person from each country would look like. I was curious to see if there was any similarities between the average Russian and the average Asian. Here we have the composite photo of the average Russian. And then right next to it is the composite photo of the average Han Chinese and the average Mongolian. Now, the reason I chose Chinese and Mongolian is because they are the 2 closest Asian countries to Russia. In addition, let's compare the average Russian to the average European. Here's a composite of the average German and the average Polish person. With just a basic eye test, Russians seem to share heavy similarities with Europeans, whereas the average Mongolian or Chinese seems incredibly different. Well, this is all very subjective. Let's go with something a little bit more fact-based and solid. Russians are defined as being an East Slavic ethnic group native to Eastern Europe. So what does it mean to be a Slav or Slavic? Now, Slav is a pretty broad term, but basically they are Indo-European people native to Eurasia. Now, a bulk of Slavic groups do originate from Eastern Europe and, to no surprise, are European, but it also consists of groups from Northern, Central, and Western Asia. And eventually, a lot of these Slavic groups will make up the population that eventually becomes modern Russia. This is the Fertile Crescent, an important location to many civilizations. It was the center of agriculture, and over the past 10,000 years, some of these populations moved through Southern Europe and Asia Minor, and then migrated through Eastern Europe. And as these farmers moved into Europe, they spread their genetic patterns as well. Today, Eastern European populations retain the links of both earliest Europeans and also the migrants that came from Asia Minor. And because of Russia's close proximity to other Asian countries, it was natural that Asians would be thrown into the mix. And a lot of historians believe that Asians even mixed with a lot of native Siberian populations, and most notably, the nomadic reindeer-herding Sami people of northern Russia. But in recent years, by far the biggest Asian influence has come from one group, the Tatars. Wait a minute, who are the Tatars? Tatars was the name given to refer to early Turkic and Mongolian people from Central Asia. We know this today as modern-day Mongolia and northern China. The Mongols at one point even conquered Russia and was under Mongol occupation from around 1220 AD till about 1480 AD, around 260 years. Even after the fall of the Golden Horde, over the years, Tatars and Russians had had many interactions: war, trade, political alliance, political conflict, and even intermarriage and intermixing. In fact, 5.3 million people in Russia identify as ethnically Tatar. With all things considered, according to the National Geographic's Genographic Project, the average Russian carries around 50% of the Asian gene. So let me get this straight. Ethnically, Russians are 50% Asian? Although many of the dishes in Russia are dominantly European, there are a couple dishes that do have a strong Asian influence. According to experts, Russian is classified as a Slavic language, in fact, the biggest of all Slavic languages, which is under the Indo-European language family, which means it has similar origins, structure, and roots with other Indo-European languages like Bulgarian, Ukrainian, and Serbian. On the flip side, most Asian languages like Mandarin, Cantonese, or Tagalog are either Sino-Tibetan languages or Austronesian languages. However, there is one Asian language that shares a ton of similarities with Russian: Mongolian. Mongolia, which is the closest Asian country to Russia, has had a lot of interaction with Russia over the years, and naturally, as they share a border, they also share a lot in language.
Hero in Mongolian is Batır, but in Russian is Bogatyr. Lion in Mongolian is Ochir, but in Russian is Ochiri. Pencil in Mongolian is Haranda, but in Russian it's Karandash.
However, despite their close link with Mongolia, it seems that the Russian language has had way more of a connection to Europe than it does Asia. Now, there's no doubt about it, Russia has had many similarities with a lot of Asian countries. But I think Lev Gumilyov, famous Soviet anthropologist and historian, said it best: Russia is a distinctive country, which unites elements from West and East. And that seems like a good way to classify it. Why does Russia need to be strictly a European or strictly an Asian country? Why can't it just be its own special place on Earth? What do you guys think? Is Russia more of a European country or more of an Asian country? Let me know down below in the comments. Thanks for watching my video. Remember to hit like, hit subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And remember, no Russian.